Hi everyone, it's Curtis and Christine Siemens with the Siemens Home Team, and today we're going to be getting into a topic that's super relevant for homeowners right now, because the question we always get asked is, how do we sell our home in such a buyer's market?
And yes, that is a great question. And sellers are definitely feeling a little frustrated because homes are sitting longer, they're getting fewer showings, and offers are lower than what they had hoped for. So there's a tendency to assume that the market is just bad. There's no control.
And that's not the truth. There's actually a lot you can control as a seller. So let's maybe just start with the basics. So Christine, for anyone who's newer to this, what do we mean when we say it's a buyer's market?
So, simply put, a buyer's market means that there are more homes for sale than there are active buyers. Inventory is at a high, so that makes a lot of competition amongst the sellers. Buyers can afford to take their time, they can look at homes, they can look at it twice, negotiate harder, and you know what? Know that they're not going to miss out if they decide to sleep on it for a few days.
Which, to be honest, is sort of the exact opposite of what a seller wants. They put their house on the market, they want to sell it.
So, sellers, what can you do? Well, here's some tips. You need to be strategic about everything. So that way you are not sitting on the market for 120 days.
Okay, let's take a minute and narrow in a little bit more on what you need to do.
I'm going to say that there's four things: price, condition, presentation, flexibility. If you get all four, your house becomes the obvious choice even in a slow market.
Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. Let's just take them one at a time. Let's talk first about price, because this is so important for sellers. It's an emotional thing for them.
It is. It's very personal. You've put years into your home. You've got a number in your head. But if you're in a buyer's market, overpricing your house is a big mistake. Because here's what happens. As we said, the home sits. And when it starts to sit, buyers start to think, what's wrong with it?
So it becomes like a psychological thing then, right? Days on the market, how long it's been there. Buyers then perceive the home. What's wrong with it if it hasn't been selling?
So even if the only problem was the price, buyers aren't going to see it that way. They're going to see a home that no one else wanted. And that makes them want to skip it entirely, or maybe even come in with a lowball offer, which is awful. And then you end up reducing the price anyway, and you've lost all that fresh momentum.
So that's really not the right approach. That's not what you want to be doing. What do we need to do, Christine?
We're saying price appropriate. We're not saying price it below what it's worth. We're not saying that we're pricing at a spot where it looks like an excellent value when you compare to other listings in that price range where buyers are doing their homework. A home that is priced appropriate is going to create urgency, and that's how you're going to get a strong offer.
And that just makes sense. Pricing appropriately gets more attention. So then let's move on to number 2. Let's talk about presentation.
And this is huge because you know what? Home search starts where?
Online.
On the phone. Buyers are scrolling through listing photos because that's what they do. So before they book a showing, if your home looks great in photos, they're going to look at it. But if it doesn't, they're going to skip it.
And how important then is curb appeal when they finally get to the house, because you're not getting a second chance to make a first impression.
Exactly. So the buyer pulls into the driveway. They form an opinion already. A clean exterior, tidy landscaping, a fresh looking door. It's going to set the tone before they even step inside the door. And inside, this is where we get a little personal. We're talking about decluttering, removing personal items, and staging so buyers can picture themselves living there.
And you know, we've seen homes and we've showed homes when you walk in and it still very clearly belongs to the seller. And it's actually really hard for our buyers to actually imagine themselves there and even their stuff there, because this person is obviously still so attached to the home.
And this is where buyers are going to don't feel that connection.
Yeah.
So clear the counters, store the family photos, thin out the furniture. If the room feels bigger, it makes a real difference.
Yeah, so now we're going to talk a little bit about conditions. So that's the third thing. So there's some things that need to be fixed. You probably have had a honey-do list for quite some time, but how much difference does that kind of stuff really make?
It actually is a really big difference, especially right now. Every visible defect is going to be a red flag to buyers. They're going to see a dripping faucet or a cracked tile, and they're going to start thinking, well, what else have they not fixed? What's maybe lurking behind the walls? And then they're going to either walk away or they're going to negotiate hard on the price to account for what they think is there.
Yeah, and it may or may not actually be there. But what is going to end up happening is you're actually going to be paying for it either way. So either you're going to get a lower offer for less money, or you can take the opportunity and just fix it up front. Yes, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but then you don't lose any money on the sale.
So this is important. Selling a home is going to cost money.
Amen.
Upfront is always better and cheaper than after. Fix the minor repairs, do the touch-ups, things that are on the honey-do list, because when buyers can tell it's a well-maintained home, they're gonna want it.
And you know, we find that sellers find it hard to be objective about their own home because every seller believes that their house is the best one on the street. But you know, if you're having a hard time being objective, get a pre-listing inspection or even have a stager come in for a consultation, because these are professionals that are actually viewing your house from a viewpoint of what the buyer will be expecting. So you're paying these professionals to give you the idea of what buyers are looking for.
And last, but definitely not the least thing, when you're selling a home, you have to be flexible. So you have to make it easy for people to actually see your home, especially if you're living there. So someone calls and says, I want to see it Tuesday at dinner, but you say, oh, you know what, can they just come Thursday at noon? That's so much more easier for us. Well, here's the problem. By Thursday at noon, they've already looked at other 15 properties, your place is forgotten, or they have to work and they're not coming back.
So the easier you make it to view your home when people want to see it, the more chances you actually have to create that offer that you're wanting in the first place. That's why your home's for sale.
So these are just some of the fundamentals that are needed to sell your home. We have price, presentation, condition, and flexibility. Let's make your home the easiest option choice for buyers to want to buy.
And you know, like, it's a balance, because you don't want to be the most expensive on the street. You don't want to be the most discounted on the street. You want to be the one that buyers compare everything else to as the obvious choice. It's priced right, it looks great, there's no problems. And by doing all of those things, you're going to be able to sell your home easily. And in reality, that's kind of it.
That's it. That's the whole game. Of course, this is Curtis.
And this is Christine.
And we're the Siemens Home Team. And so if you are thinking of selling or buying right now in London, St. Thomas, Strathroy area, give us a call. We'd love to work with you. And there's no control.